Welcome to Designing Adobe XD on a Friday here, pre-shutdown here at Adobe. Things might be a little casual today, as you can tell from my attire. I don't know if you've ever seen me on a Friday, Kevin, but
I actually have. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little more dressed up than I am today. So let's dig into it. So hey, sweet. I'm Talin Wadsworth. I'm the lead designer for Adobe XD, and today with me I have the very talented Kevin Lee.
Hi everybody.
Product designer extraordinaire. He's been with you all week, and decided to willingly. Very nicely stuck around to talk a little shop.
Of course.
On a Friday.
Yeah. And you know what? It's raining outside, but we're up in here inside, like all warm and cozy.
This is nice. This new studio.
Oh yeah.
This is my second time in. This is a nice place.
Oh, it's your second time.
This is my second time because my first stream was last week in here. So this is my second time now.
Nice.
In the studio. It's a nice place.
Much better than.
Hey everybody there in the chat. Great to see those familiar names.
Hey,
Anel,
Ash.
Matthias, of course. My man, what's happening? Ash, Bohana, Stupar.
Ooh.
Great to have you, Suyag. Great to Lakvir.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Hello,
and staying up late if it's late where you are. It's rainy here today. It's nice.
Yeah, my hair's kind of wet, but you know what? It's like that cool, like messy hair look.
Yeah,
so
I like it. It's very slick, very nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. Probably a lot warmer than your hometown of Chicago right now.
Yeah. I think Chicago's like there's like snow or something, but yeah, I'm just glad I'm like out of there.
Yeah, seriously,
but
yeah.
No shame to Chicago.
We like Chicago, which is a little cold there. It's just nicer to be on the West Coast.
Oh, absolutely.
When in the winter.
Yes.
Even though there's a strange sameness to it all, I found. I grew up in the mountains in Salt Lake City, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How's that like? Oh my gosh.
I love the seasons. I miss the seasons. And Paco and I were just talking about getting out to the mountains just before we came on. But I miss the snow, but that's all right. I like this. I like the rain. So.
Wow.
So yeah, today we really didn't, like I said, like today Kevin and I are just gonna be talking some shop. We're here to answer your questions. If you guys have any questions about being a UX designer, a product designer, kind of what that's all about. If you have any questions about Adobe XD, well, of course, I can definitely answer them. And Kevin has been doing some amazing work inside of XD from his first stream, which was what, about a month or two ago now. When you came on the first time?
Like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, yeah.
So we're happy to talk about that. Well, we can jump in and you can design in XD. There's some new features. I don't know if you've gone and downloaded the update.
Oh, I love the new features.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah. So Eric, great to see you. Eric is a solid guy.
Oh my god, yeah, Eric is always here, showing so much love all the time.
Yeah, who is hosting whom? That's a really good question, Suyag. Well, technically, this is my Friday stream, so I think I am officially the host.
Yes.
But, this is going to be a two-way conversation. We don't really have much of a plan here. We're just winging it on a Friday before the holidays.
Chill Friday. It's rainy.
Yeah.
So
see, Kevin is between jobs, I just found out,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be going on vacation for 2 weeks, along with all the rest of Adobe.
Where are you going?
Well, just not here. Everybody, it's like we do this at Adobe. It's really awesome perk. Like we take a winter shutdown. We do a winter shutdown. So from today until after the new year, good luck getting a hold of anyone from Adobe.
Everyone's just gonna be gone.
Yeah.
No one's gonna
The office
answer.
is dead. The office is. I think there really is only me and Paco and Eric on this whole floor. In this
What,
new
really?
building. There might be a few other people.
What if like you didn't get the memo and like you're a new person? You're just like, where is everybody?
That happened to me. That happened to me. That's like I was joking with Paco. Like I, for whatever reason, the very first year I was here. Actually, two funny stories. So my very first day at Adobe was starting January 3rd. It was 7 years ago now.
Talk about new year, new you.
Yeah, so I was like in a new job. I was like really happy with that, and I come to Adobe, and we have this really awesome old building here in San Francisco. And I walk up to the front doors, and I pull the handle, and it's locked.
Oh no!
And the place is, I look in, and like it's like dark inside the building, and I'm like,
oh, man.
What is going on here? And I'm like looking, and I'm trying to figure out how to get in. And luckily, there's a security guard there, and he walks over, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, this is my first day. They told me to come here, like I'm supposed to be starting today.
That's the worst.
And he's like, nobody's here. And I was like, what? And turns out,
nobody told me anything.
So yeah, it turns out that was my first interaction with the like holiday shutdown at Adobe.
Wow.
And that year they had decided, sort of mid-shutdown, to give everybody a bunch of extra days off. They decided to extend the shutdown. Nobody told me. And so I showed up.
Like already,
to, like ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I was nicely dressed, and I was ready for my new gig. The whole deal, you know, it was a big deal. I'm like, nope. So that day I got my badge because the guy took pity on me, and he's like, well, I guess we can help this guy out. So
do something.
I got my badge, yeah. And so it was go. And then but then again, like I was always that person who didn't. Again, everybody else has been off. Like they don't come the day before shutdown, and I was always the one in the office too. So I don't know. I just don't get. It's kind of a thing. So.
Well, it's the Talin curse.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Kevin, so you and I have talked a bit, but tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you've been up to.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit before the stream, but yeah, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Let's start there. I'm originally from Chicago.
Yeah.
And I love doing like photography, and that's kind of like the introduction of like the whole creative realm.
Yeah.
So after photography, I started looking at like motion graphics and graphic design, and then I'm like, you know what? I want to live in California. So all I did was like I applied to California state colleges, nowhere else, just California State.
I'm like move
committed.
west, young man.
I'm gonna do it. So I got into San Diego State University and got a bachelor's in graphic design. Graduated this past May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I feel freedom.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's so weird because it's like the days are going quicker. And I'm like, oh no, like what is happening?
Yeah. It's funny how time speeds up when you're like that.
Yeah. But I got a job at an advertisement agency as a digital product designer. And most recently I gave my 2-week notice, and this past Friday was my last day with them because I found a new job in New York, but working remotely in LA for a couple months before I moved there. As a UX UI designer. So
nice. Congrats on the new gig, man.
Thank you. I'm like super excited about it, but like super nervous.
Yeah.
And my sister, my mom were like, don't go to New York, like stay with us, cause like you moved to Chicago to California, and now you're going like away to
all
like
the other side.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta go out there. You gotta spread those wings, you know. So the program at San Diego. So you got a graphic design degree. You got a design degree, more traditional design degree from
graphic design.
Yeah. So then you just got on the job, and just that became like all the work was digital. So kind of like, or was there like, did you get hired as a specifically in UX, or were you doing UX in school as well? Were you doing like digital design as well there?
So yeah, I missed like the whole chunk of the story, but basically, my older sister, she's a senior UX for Disney.
Oh, cool.
So she's like, hey, look, like you should really check out this cool thing called UX or UI design or product design. And I'm like, oh, what is that? So she kind of like was the mentor and person that I looked up to pursue a career in that field.
Oh, nice.
And with that, like she gave me a lot of like advice and like how to like know the process of UX UI design. I'm still, I would say, easing up to it. Like I still have a lot to learn, but just having someone that's older than you and more experienced like guide you is so rewarding.
Oh, yeah.
And also I go to a lot of like creative networking events, like creative mornings, creative jam, and I met Heba, who was actually here.
She's great.
She's amazing.
Super talented. Yeah.
Like such an amazing creative independent woman, and she just like was like, I'm here to mentor you. I'm here to teach you and like help you grow. And she's actually the one that got me introduced to Adobe Live. So
that's how it rolls, you know, making those contacts, right? Like, you know, like showing enthusiasm, showing excitement for something, building those contacts, which is not easy. You know, like I was it's nice that you had your sister sort of guiding the way a little bit. Like, I'm the oldest in my family, so I was always kind of out there in front. Like,
I'm the youngest.
You know,
like,
Yeah, it's nice to have that person come before you and lay the groundwork. And
she did all the dirty work for me, and then she's helping me. Not like
not to underplay. Like you also like had to like to put the work in as well. But yeah. So there's a good question here from Anel, because Anel is just kind of getting going. Yeah. How talk about finding a mentor. So you had your sister, which is of course, like if you choose, there's this great person who can, and they're willing, to help you sort of kind of guide your path. But talk about like how do you look for those mentors, those people that you want to connect with, and how do you build that relationship? Well,
when my first networking event, it was the Creative Mornings, and I was so nervous. I went with like 2 other college my friends, and I was like, didn't know how to talk to anybody, and like we were just talking to ourselves. And then I actually saw Heba, because Heba, before the networking event, she posted on the San Diego State graphic design Facebook group. So I'm like, oh, that woman looks so familiar. And I was talking to my friend, I'm like, should I like just say hi, or like I don't like, what do I do? And she's like, just don't do anything, just like stick with us, because we're like nervous at our first creative event. But as you keep continuing like going to these events, you start to like gain more confidence, and then you talk to someone next to you that's sitting next to you, and then you start walking around and talking to people that you found interesting, or like what they do. And with that being said, everything with Heba was kind of like digital. Like we were talking on Instagram, and then we finally did a photo shoot together, and then we just built this relationship where it wasn't more like a professional mentor, like what is it, like strict, like you have to like be like very professional. It was super natural, super chill. And but the thing is, that's how I initially kind of like introduced myself to Heba. I was like, it's really nice to meet you, like shook her hand and like was very professional. And she's like, I love how blunt and like direct she is. She's like, you don't have to like do all that, like just be yourself and like talk to me like I'm like one of your friends. And then that made me learn like how to just like naturally just have a conversation with someone like above you, or like it doesn't have to be so like strict.
Yeah, no, it's not really a formal thing. I totally agree with you. I think that like, back in, when I was first starting school, again, I think everybody was looking for that person that can really help, through their experiences, help share some knowledge and really build up that mentor relationship. But it's not something like where someone comes in one day and says, I'm going to be your mentor, or you go up and ask someone if they can be your mentor. Like it's about building relationships, and it's about finding like interests and interest in like really like being excited and engaged with that person, right? And the people who end up who were a lot of like my mentors, were people that I showed a lot of excitement to go and work with that person. Right. My biggest mentors here in San Francisco were two guys that were in a studio, and I really wanted to work with them because I saw something in them that I wanted to emulate myself. I wanted to learn from them and really from the inside. And they were open to, because I think we built a good relationship, they were open to having me come in as an intern for the first, like summer that I came to them sort of while I was in school.
How did you build that relationship with them?
It was, so one was my instructor. One of the partners at the firm was my instructor. And at school. Yeah, so again, like, I really respected him. I really valued his critique and his criticism of my own work. I put in a lot of hard work to show him that I was open to his feedback, and I really wanted to deliver. And so I think, again, we built up some respect that way. I saw him as very valuable in my learning, and then he saw me as someone willing to put in the work. And then I applied for the internship, and they, of course, like I don't think I had the best portfolio, but I think, and he knew how I was willing to put in that time and that effort, to work really hard and to learn. And from there, then I had another internship with them, and then they hired me before I was even out of school.
Nice.
So,
that's awesome.
Again, I think it really is about like showing interest. Asking that question, breaking that ice first. Finding a way to build that relationship, and over time, with that person that you've sort of, are looking up to and saying, I would really like to learn from you, like that openness, I think they'll recognize that and they'll recognize the work that you put in. But it's not gonna be easy all the time. And it's all about how much effort are you willing to put into the relationship as the mentee, as a way, in that way, right?
Yeah, and like, how do you kind of like break the ice with someone? Like, like, it's like when. Oh, right.
How do you break the ice, Kevin? Because you're a very outgoing guy. You're very, what are some of the things that you do?
Well, to be honest, like I was like a huge introvert and like super quiet. But then I feel like people perceive to like put a mask and like feel like they have to act like someone else when they're with someone. But like if you're just like true to yourself and like you love yourself and you just like be yourself with the people, and if they don't accept that, then they're not worth your time. And if they do, then it's like you're in your most comfortable state and like they are loving you for that. And then that's just like all for me. I just like was like there was like a click in my head. I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna be myself and like talk to people who I want to talk to, like, and then that's how I built relationships.
Yeah, and Nell was saying, breaking the ice when people ignore you. I mean, that's a good question. Nell, I think, to what Kevin was saying, I think that's a good signal that person, I think, isn't open to or, unselfish enough to sort of see outside of themselves and be willing to give up that time. I think if those people are ignoring you, I think it's a pretty clear signal. And it's not, again, I think a lot of people will go through their career and they'll reach out to people and they will. There is rejection there. There is that feeling, but I think you have to find your own ways around that. I think a lot of what gets me through is just the work. Like I'm excited to work, to do design, and I look and presenting myself in that from that angle of that excitement, like, oh, I just love design. Let's talk about design.
And also, I feel like it's not like people that don't think like you're capable or when they ignore you, but it's like maybe they're not ready also. Like maybe they're just still in that introvert stage.
Yeah.
And then they will reach out to you when, they're more confident in themselves or like in their design, and everyone there's a timeline when everyone's like ready to talk and stuff. But But that's how I break the ice.
It's tricky. I think in the end, I mean, your sister helped you on the path to your career, and then you've gone from one opportunity to another, and begin meeting people through your enthusiasm and your excitement for the work. And I think that's really how a career is built. It's like through those relationships. Right?
So I'm doing everything right.
Well, you're like, I think if you feel like it is, then yeah, I think it definitely is.
Thank you.
I never saw myself, coming into UX design, and that's why I kind of asked you about your program at San Diego State. Is that
there is no UX?
Yeah, there's no it wasn't really a thing when I went to school right next door here, actually at CCA.
Oh, nice.
And that really wasn't a thing, and it really was actually I had some friends join Adobe. And I didn't even know there was a thing like as UX design at the time. Oh. And they were like, "Oh, well, you should come and work here." And I was like, because I needed to make a little more money than I was at the time, to be honest with you. And I was like, "Yes, I will consider making more money. Thank you." And and luckily, I met through my friends who were working here. I met some really amazing and talented people that I was like, I want to go, and I love tools, and I want to go work on tools. And so that's how I ended up here. And of course, again, my enthusiasm for tools, for thinking about process, again, led me to make more connections inside the company, and which led me to eventually like being able to work on the project that became XD.
So tools meaning like every update for Adobe XD?
Yeah, so I mean, just designing creative software. I think that's I just love finding tools to help me do my job as a designer, whatever those tools might be. And so I use the whole Creative Suite plus any other tool I could find. And so I'm always interested in how I can design better, faster, stronger. And I think tools are a part of that story. And luckily, again, it just was a good fit for me. That I like to think about process, think about how we work as designers, and now I get to make a tool that hopefully helps us be better designers, which is pretty cool.
Did you think that you would end up, making tools and stuff?
I don't know. Really, not at all. This is crazy. Like I wanted to design rock and roll posters for the rest of my life, and I would have.
Yes.
So,
That'd be amazing if
Yeah.
Whoa,
You know, so
that'd be cool.
that would, but you know, like again, like you make these relationships and you find new paths into, and like there's so many career opportunities for designers.
Yeah.
That I think that, you know, again, like we get exposed to very like little bubbles sometimes, and we're like, oh, well, this is the only type of design, but there's like so many types, even of UX design, sort of
like
going on here in the U.S. in particular, all over the world. Like I said, I just happened to find kind of like a niche that fit really well. So
I know, and I was like thinking like everywhere around the world, it's probably like a whole new like UX design process, and I'm like, it's gonna be different for everywhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Munir was asking, and I think, you know, for a lot of people who are online now, how do you find mentors online? I think actually like being online has opened the door to making just more connections, you know? Like I think that's what's exciting is like, you know, reaching out to someone on Twitter, you know, reaching out to somebody on Behance.
I need to make a Twitter.
You do. I mentioned you in my tweet.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, because someone showed me.
Well, you know, you don't have to. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, so you know, like I love these talk about like you know, for a long time, like I feel like I just sort of naturally found these connections, and it's always good to talk about it because I don't know, there's not one recipe for, you know, like for finding a path in your career, and that's why I'm always interested to talk to designers like yourself. And one thing I want to ask you about, because it's been a big topic for me that I thought a lot about. So on your site, you say you're a product designer.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you? What is a product designer?
For me, it's, well, the thing is, this is another like insight from my sister. So she started out as a UX designer, but then they wanted people that can do both UX and UI. So in when I think product design, it's both. It's like everything. Which is UX and UI to, you know, come up with a product. So like that consists of like the research to like doing surveys to, you know, low to high fidelity wireframes, and then like communicating with developers and do A to B testings and doing all that stuff is a product designer's like duties and responsibilities. So I kind of think of the whole process of UX UI as a product designer.
So less about like specifically the UX, like the user, the steps the user would take to move through the product or the service, divorce from like the visuals, right? Like a lot, you'll see that a lot kind of in the industry. You'll see these are like two separate professions almost in a way. Two more like they're two, like, you know, they're branching paths from like the more sort of, you know, trunk of design, but
I think like to be honest, I feel like it should be separate to be stronger.
Interesting. Tell me. Okay, so you're saying you have a product designer is a more holistic approach, research as a part of that, you know,
design. But I think having a team solely focused on UX and then having a team solely focused on UI would make the product more stronger, based on the research and also design aesthetic. Because, I mean, I think there's a term where like they call it like the unicorn in the UX UI environment, where like some people want everyone, the person to know everything, where I think you should just divide it into teams and it'll be stronger. What do you think?
It's an interesting. I like kind of where you're coming from. I think here, you know, at Adobe, we didn't have the luxury of having like two distinct sort of like roles on the team for a long time when I first joined, right? Like a product, if that product had one designer, like, or if it had two, it was lucky. If it had one, it was in good shape. Like, you know, the ratio was like one designer for like 20 engineers, and so you know, I think of course, me not coming into the industry, not knowing that there were these separate sort of roles on the team. And of course, my approach is very like, as you were talking, what I liked about what you're saying about product design is I you know, approach design in a very holistic way, you know, as you know, research and testing and you know, UX or UI, you know, visual communication is all kind of, again, it's a holistic endeavor, you know, and that's part of my background and part of just my underlying kind of ethos of like how I approach problem solving.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a very holistic way. Like the pieces all need to feel like they come from the same place, or you get a very, get a very fragmented experience for the user. And so, and again, like, so at Adobe, like I came in and that was the approach, and that's how, again, there wasn't like a specific role as like UX or UI designer. There were people who gravitated towards maybe different parts of that. Some people who were really good at like, polishing the pixels, and some people who were, at the time were calling themselves IA or more UX designers, right? But my approach was always very holistic, and so that's what I look for when I was building, so the XD team. And I think it's what the design department at Adobe overall was looking for, was much more holistic, much more sort of, I guess, as I think we would call them product designers, but even within there, I think you're right. I think there are roles, like people gravitate towards different roles, and they have things that they're really good at or things they're not very good at. And so naturally, I think a team needs to be well-rounded in that sense. That like some people really love going and designing the pixels, and some people really like thinking about the big kind of user experience problem. But then you do need like that holistic view of how everything comes together.
True. Yeah, I agree with that too. So you said that you led the XD design team?
Yeah.
So going in, were you like the only UX designer at first when you first started, or? I was the first designer. That's gonna be my
the only
position.
Designer for XD.
The only designer.
So yeah. So
how did you deal with that?
It was. It was just a lot of. I think it was enjoyable work, but it was really frenetic. It was a lot of work. So initially we put together a team, and there was 5 of us. Okay. There's 2 product managers. There were 2 engineers, and there was me. Wow. And what I really tried to do was to bring in a very clear vision of like what XD as a tool would be, like what it could be, I should say. And that really helped kind of drive a lot of our early work. And we built a prototype in a very short amount of time, about 3 to 4 months. Right. And then from there, I had at the time been leading a lot of like new initiatives where I was trying to put together the vision for these new initiatives. And I said like, a lot of things that didn't get off the ground, like not everything is a success in your career. And so I'd spent a lot of time thinking about like how to tell a story, how to focus, how to bring a bunch of people together to do some work. And so I think when it was just, the 4 or 5 of us, like it was really easy. I could just go to my engineers and I could just, my partners on this project and say like, this is what I think we should do. Yeah. Here's the story. We'd work with the product manager to, align on kind of user goals or like the market. And then we would just go and build something. But of course we were in constant contact, daily. I think the challenge for me was when we got bigger. Like when it was just me, it was easy.
You're like, well, comparatively, this person,
relatively, right? Like, like I could just reach out and we were using Slack and we were doing those things, and it was just easy for us to make very quick progress because it was just 5 of us,
Super quick, small group.
Yeah, and then I remember the moment when we went and we got the official go-ahead that XD was going to be a product, and then we grew from 4 people to 5 people to, I think it was 18 or 20. And so we were adding a bunch of new people. We added another designer, we added a bunch of engineers, and like, that's when it got hard. Because then, how do we take what we were gonna what the sort of principles that we were kind of, founding our work on, and the approach we wanted to take, and our roadmap, and how do we then communicate that to now more people, and then get them to kind of buy into that, and kind of move forward as if we were all there from the beginning, right?
Oh, so it's kind of like telling them like this is what we have, and then since you're new, like kind of like join in on this whole process that we developed from scratch.
Plus take their ideas and integrate their ideas, because they're all very talented people. We want to know what they like. If they're going to add, their unique viewpoints. They're gonna, we knew there was an opportunity for it to become better than what it had been even before, but still maintain some of those core principles, And so I think from then on, the hardest job that I've had is, as we've grown the team, like how do we grow it in a way where those underlying principles are still there and still felt throughout the application, but also the app is now much richer and much more open to all the new points of view and all the new pieces of information that are feeding back into the system, because the team has gone from 5 people to a lot more than 5 people. Let's say that. that's been the biggest challenge. And I think, you know, as you progress in your career, and I think as anyone progresses in the career, they'll find that, like, I think we're all capable of doing the work, like doing design. Like, that's the easy part. You know, doing design is the easy part. It's the other part of, like, getting, like, a team, building a team, and then being able to then deliver with the team. Because it's, you know, when it's just you and you're in school and you're working on a project, like, you only have yourself to rely on.
True.
You know, like, But now, you know, you have to find ways to get all these different people with all these different roles and all these different point of views, and we have to all come to something just to be able to go and put a new feature together and get it out the door.
So when you have like two really good ideas, and then half of the room is saying like, oh, we should do this, and the other half is saying we should have this for the solution, like, how does that work, like, for you guys? Like, what do you guys do to come up with a final?
Well, I think in my case, what I like to do is I like to just do work. To like, if there are different points of view, the only way we're going to figure it out is if we go and we actually put in the work and the time to explore as many ideas as possible.
Yeah.
I think it's only through that, and only through, of course, that's one of the things that I learned from my mentors, the two principals of Volume Inc. here, the design studio here in the city. Oh, cool. You know, that I learned from them very early on that I really respected is like, well, any idea could be good, but like, you got to prove it out. You got to do the, even if you're like, if you landed on an idea that you feel is really solid right from the beginning, it's kind of your responsibility to go and explore other possible ideas before you know if that's the right one or not. And so, you know, if a team comes in and let's say, you know, we have a weekly design critique on our team, and there are some differing opinions. Well, it's up to each of those designers, whoever's sort of responsible for maybe designing that feature. It's really on them to take everybody's feedback, put that back into the work, and then come back with an answer that has addressed any concerns or has explored, you know, all the points of view in the room.
Yeah,
right? And I think it's only through that I think that you can I think the goal is to like get everybody to have a really solid foundation of knowledge, and they're all looking at the problem from the same perspective. Yeah. You know, and or as close as they can get, so that we can get to some alignment. And of course, a lot of alignment happens when, you know, it goes and gets tested. You know, we'll take early prototypes and we'll go and test directly with designers, and we'll say,
does this really work?
Yeah, we'll say, hey Kevin, check this out. What do you think? You know, and like, of course, that at the end of the day will satisfy a lot of questions, a lot of arguments. You know, just hearing directly from users. So I know it's a challenge. I don't know how what's the size of the teams you've worked with, like in the past, at the agency you were at San Diego?
The advertisement agency, it was a team of 4 designers, including me. Yeah. So they started with 2 just regular mid-level digital designers, and then they hired me and another girl, and they became like creative directors and senior level designers. So it was very small, but the whole team in general was around 30 people. So it's a very design studio culture. And it was good to have someone like give you input and feedback that's a higher level than you, right? Because you could go on thinking like you have the most best idea for like a concept for the solution of this product, and then they're like, no, like maybe you should look at it in this perspective, or like in a different type of view, or test it out in different type of other solutions before you go back to the one you think is like amazing. So that was kind of like the culture design team at the advertisement agency. But now this new job, I'm gonna be the only like UX UI person, but with like product managers. So it's gonna be interesting not being able to receive feedback or like to know if this is the correct solution to something. But I think for me, I'm gonna go to like a lot of like networking events or like ask friends, just get their input, just to get some other feedback. So
that will be tricky. I said, like, I think it does. You know, designers, like, you know, when every week when the team has their you know, weekly critique, like we're all kind of speaking the same language, right? Like designers are all like we share a common viewpoint, and it comes from design, right? And I think when you're the only designer, you think it is going to be hard to like, you know, to both communicate to those who are not designers, but then find the feedback that will help push your design further. Right. I think there's valuable information coming from, you know, your engineering partners and your product partners and the users, but yeah, like finding that place where you can really feel like you can speak pretty openly and honestly with a team, with a group of designers, I think is going to be a challenge for sure. Yeah. I mean, of course you're up to the task. I know it, but, you know,
and it's a thing like that. Like I love to like challenge myself to something that like I had no idea about. So like for instance, like photography, I had no idea how to do that, and then like video editing, and then graphic design to like UX. So it's like, okay, I know all these things, like, but I want to know like how to just be a team of one and try it out. And in the future, like I want to like have like a design team and like go through like things that I did incorrectly and things that I did correctly to like learn from those experiences. And I love just like trial and error basically, and just becoming a strong designer, and hopefully in the future to like leading a design team. Yeah,
well, it's always yeah. I mean, if you can get the product successful enough and you can grow that team, but it's gonna be a good challenge for you. I think again, like one of the big things coming out of school in particular is like learning to trust yourself and trust your own decisions. Yeah, that's a big part of it. So
like I'm sticking to this.
Yeah. Hey Zaria, I want to say you know, turn it out there and say hi to everybody who's been chatting. There's been some great discussion happening in the chat. Zaryeb, how are you? It's great to see you on the chat as well. Of course, Anel's had some great questions, and there's some good conversation going on. Someone was saying, and I don't remember who it was, I missed because I forgot the name now, and it just made me think, I was cleaning out my desk, and I think I do miss that connection to like physical like design, like being able to sort of hold something.
Yeah,
I don't know how much experience you've had in that realm.
Well, like or you mean like,
or like just like, you know, like printing, getting, or like designing something for print,
or screen printing.
Yeah, screen printing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. Do you screen printer? Do you screen print?
Yeah, I love screen printing.
So good.
I took a class and like we did like a workshop at the San Diego State University Museum, and then our art exhibit, and then we were just teaching everybody. I felt so cool, and like everyone was like just screen printing their own shirts and tote bags.
When you can take something from concept to execution to then holding it like physically in your hand, like there's different. There's not a feeling like that. Like that is just like you made something, and there it is, and you can give it to someone else.
Yeah, that's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah,
hard work.
I miss that a little bit about the sort of traditional design studio world.
I know. Now you can just make like a holiday card.
You know, like,
really quick on Illustrator.
I do it actually. We have a Risograph machine. I don't know if you know what a Risograph
I don't know
is.
That. What is
so
that?
Risograph is this. It looks like a Xerox machine, but it prints in solid color. Like screen printing or like traditional printing. So you have these big drums of solid ink. Instead of CMYK, you have like a fluorescent pink.
What?
And it's a big drum. It's on a big drum, and you put it into the machine, and the machine, you scan like the scanner bed on the top. You scan a black and white copy of whatever your artwork is, and then it will make a stencil. And wrap it onto the drum of ink. And then as you run paper through it, it will print that ink through that stencil right on that paper. It's the coolest.
Can you show me that after that? Okay,
yeah.
It's like
I miss that.
Screen printing 2.0.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Siag had a good question. Of course, I always love talking about this. When you're just a beginner, what should you know before getting into UI, UX design? What's one of those things that you say, like, going in, like one of those, maybe those things your sister told you about, or something that you kind of, again, when you're making that decision to get into the field, to get into product and service design?
I think, number one, know that you're a problem solver. So you're trying to find solutions to any pain points or problems that a user's having. And also, another advice I would say is, there are more than just one answer to the solution, and just have an open mind to other perspectives and other people that, you know, saw a solution differently than you did. And just, being an open book. There's no right answer, no correct process to finding the solution. So like, it's every time it's different. And I think that's the beauty of like UX, UI design is it's not always the same process.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I love that you said that, because actually it was one of the foundational sort of ideas or principles of like why we went and designed XD the way we designed it. So if you sort of go into like XD on my screen, just sort of, we'll actually like, you know, show some XD, some design here.
Oh yeah.
Right, like the core workflow of being able to sort of design and prototype and then share all within one app was specifically so that you could share and get feedback. Because again, your first idea probably isn't going to be the thing that solves it. But you need a tool that had all of these pieces together so that you could quickly sort of iterate. Because every time you could get feedback and then, you know, very quickly, and then be able to go and iterate back in your design file, and then just immediately share it once again. Like the more you can learn, the quicker you'll get to that solution. And again, it's not going to be the perfect solution, but it's going to be closer to hitting the mark. Again, but if you were, again, back before we had XD, you know, we were doing design in Illustrator or Photoshop, and then we were going and trying to make it feel real or interactive in some, you know, other program, some other tool, like Keynote was the big one for me, and I always sort of put it into Keynote. And then to share it, you again had to then export it as a PDF, and then you would share it, or again, like, you know, export a bunch of JPEGs, and again, you've broken now some of that process, and now you're manually having to go and update anytime you wanted to make a change.
Oh my god!
All those pieces, right? And so XD, we sort of landed on like we wanted you to be able to design at the speed of thought. So we wanted you to be able to sort of go in very quickly, and you know, and design something, and then prototype it, and see it, and feel it, and experience it yourself. So that you could again give yourself that, you know, kind of own sort of, you know, sort of self feedback, and then be able to then go and share it with someone else very quickly, again, so that the feedback can come right back in, and you can go right back to designing very quickly or trying something new that maybe you wouldn't have tried before. Because I always felt I was kind of fighting the application a little bit, you know, and so again, even something as simple as, you know, like the motion or the whatever it might be, like. You need to be able to see it and experience it in real time, and you need all those tools at your fingertips that would help you work faster and get closer and closer to that solution. You know,
it's interesting to like, because as UX UI designers, we solve problems and like try to find solutions, but like you're basically finding problems in the process of finding the solution.
Yeah, it's very meta.
Like,
it's very meta.
Like, how is that like compared to, you know, like your past works with like?
I think it's not related. It's not really closely related to my client work at all back in the studio days. I think that this is a very kind of a very kind of niche or very kind of geeky side of like UX UI design. You know, creating tools, awesome. Right? Yeah. Like we're trying to create a design tool that other designers can use to do great work, and so. You know, if we weren't nerds about process and thinking about like, you know, all those little things that get you hung up during the day, and part of that is like the speed and performance of the tool, part of that is the user experience of executing on any one idea. Like, you know, to do something like as simple as this, you know, when it comes to, you know, like maybe inside of something like After Effects, something that was more kind of traditionally sort of about, you know, animation, like there's a lot of overhead into learning After Effects, so that's sort of step number one, right? Nothing, After Effects isn't as easy as dragging and dropping. You have to understand something about a timeline, and you have to understand about, you know, like resolution, and you have to, you know, like get around all these things. So to, you know, even create something like this, and again, you're faking that interaction, you know, and so that's what we were kind of doing in XD before, in After Effects before. I had this whole project where I was trying to communicate to my engineering team through After Effects, and it was just, it actually was harder than, it was crazy, like actually how hard it was to communicate. But like here, again, it should be as simple as like, this is what I want it to feel like. This is how I want it to move. This is the interaction I intend, you know, and then be able to like, put this into my, you know, collaborators' hands and let them actually feel it and experience it, like that closes that communication gap, you know, that much
developers.
Yeah. So, you know, or even like your client or your manager or your product manager collaborator, you know, like being able to communicate as, you know, very quickly and can get you over a lot of those challenges of just communication, you know? So yeah, I liked what you were saying. I think the other thing, just to go back to it real quick, because I wanted to make sure that we talked about it, is that you know, one thing you should know about UX or UI design is it's not just on you. That this is a, you know, the UX and UI design is really about communication and about collaboration with engineers and with, you know, product managers and with, again, because it takes a lot of people to make something like, even like a, you know, like a website or a service or any product, any digital product. It takes a lot of people to make that happen. You know, often it just, you can't rely on the unicorn. That unicorn is going to get burnt out doing all those things.
Yeah.
So UX and UI design is about collaboration. It's about communication.
I read a Medium article, and it was like how to survive being a UX UI designer of one, and it's like befriend everyone in the, like, every department, like befriend your developer team and like your product management team, and like it was like so funny. She's like, bake your developers like cookies and just be really nice to them, and then but it was interesting how like collaborating and communicating is, you know, the key for product designers.
I mean, it actually kind of leads to, so we pitched a feature idea 2.5 years ago now, and it's just now, the foundation of it just launched, which I'm very excited about.
Ooh.
And it really, because like, again, like we put together these design, prototype, and sharing workflows to really help you communicate with your collaborators who maybe aren't designers, with your developers, right? And we wanted to make sure we had a lot of those in place. But then, you know, as we were talking with designers at the time and seeing and talking about how they worked, one of the things that again is that we felt like we were really missing in XD was how I collaborate with my design team.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so, you know, I worked with the team and we put together this prototype, this sort of vision prototype. And this is like 2.5 years ago now. And turned out to be one of the probably the biggest challenges we've ever faced, was getting these features kind of out the door into the product. And those are all about how I collaborate with my design team.
Wow.
And they're not all there yet. I mean, again, like we're just scratching the surface and we're laying that foundation. But we just launched the first feature in what will, you know, again, set the stage for a bunch of work we're going to be shipping in 2019, and that is cloud-based documents. So
I am so excited for that.
this is, that's good to hear. I'd love to hear like your take on that. So one of the things that we know is that, again, part of communication is being able to sort of trust and know that what we're working on, again, because now in XD there's 14 of us on the design side. Ooh. We need to know that what we're working on, we're all using or pulling from the same source of truth, and putting it in Dropbox just wasn't cutting it. And so now in XD, what you can do is actually create a document, and it now lives in the cloud. And what that means is you can invite your team directly to the document. So I'm going to say this is the stream document. I'll say that, and what I can do now is I can share that directly with you, in XD. Wow. I don't have to go put it in. Yeah. And so, if I wanted to sort of share this with Kevin, what's your? Well, I'll just share it with one of my.
They'll be like, "What is
one this? Of my?" Yeah, that's fine. James is totally used to this. So now James and I, again, right now he'll have access to it. So when he comes into XD, he'll actually see it directly inside of XD. So he'll see exactly what I see. And today we'll have to work. We can't work on it at the same time, but we're working on, like, the next step of this is that we'll be able to design inside this document at the same time, like in real time.
What?
Like we'll actually be able to
like a live collaboration,
like a live collaboration, like inside this document. And so this is gonna be like this is like just scratching the surface, just laying that foundation for some really amazing work that's gonna come. That really is about how do you work, more closely with your design team.
Oh my god!
So that's pretty exciting.
That's gonna change everything.
So if you guys are checking it out, if you haven't downloaded the latest update, go download it.
Yeah, update it.
And I'd love to hear what you think about what your early experiences are with this. Again, and it's been such, again, like going on this journey with this, like, again, there's so much love and respect for you guys for doing that. And again, all that feedback just helps us continue to sort of deliver and build on these stories to help, have a great sort of tool out there for you to use and do your best work.
Where do they give you like feedback, like if they do suggest like new features and stuff like that?
So you can always reach out directly to us on the web, and you can hit me up on Twitter anytime. I'm pretty good at responding.
Oh, yeah.
So you can hit me up at Mr. Talin, or you can go to our user voice forum as well. so adobeXD.uservoice.com. And this is a place where you can give us really direct feedback and actually ask for new features.
Wow.
We're gonna be, and I always like to go here and sort of use this as a way to sort of explore new ideas, see what people are talking about, giving us feedback on. This is a great place.
That's so cool, because it's like your users, and then they're like giving you solutions.
They are. There's like, actually, let me go look at this one. This one actually shows some, they actually are doing and sharing like designs for the features that they're working on, or giving us like visual examples or feedback of things they want to be designing, and then why certain features might help them. It's just super cool. Like actually, here's an animated GIF of like what they want to be building. Again, this person like, we need horizontal scroll areas. And I was like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Because so do I. But yeah, so you know, like this is a place where you can go and give feedback. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about Cloud Documents. So
yeah, I mean, like it's just amazing. From, you know, I started with Adobe XD going into UX UI design, like for wireframing, and like from where it started to where it is now is like so much changing, and I love it. And it's like things that I wanted like the first month of using Adobe XD, they had it in like 2 months after, or like a month after, and I'm like, oh my god, I love all this like new features, and like it's just such a, like, it's a whole new product, like a whole new program from where I first started, like, which was like a year ago.
Well, that's really, I mean,
yeah,
you know, like we've, I think, really hit our stride on that. But something that we've really, again, this has been this big challenge we put out there for ourselves, is like, we know that we want to, you know, launch XD so that we can go out there and get it into the hands of designers doing their real work in it. Yeah. And then get their feedback, and then we're committing to, you know, monthly releases. And then again, getting this team, you know, like to have a very similar approach, to share these principles, to go out there and continually challenge ourselves to, you know, to get feedback and to integrate it back into the application, and then deliver on a monthly basis. Like, that takes a lot of planning behind the scenes. And if you saw my last stream where I had on one of our program managers on, and he talked about how we try and keep a schedule and how we try and get everybody sort of agreed on a process and how we're going to go deliver. It was really, really great.
I was like, damn, Adobe, always on top.
It's
always on top of it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I actually think this is one that maybe Howard shared with me.
Cool.
So, you know, I think they were working on a music dribble music app concept, and was shared with me. And again, like, I don't have to go and like find it in Dropbox or anything like that.
It's right there.
It's right there. So boom, again, helps me sort of stay in sync with my team, and of course many more features on top of that coming. So
that's so cool.
Steven had a great question. Typekit support for embedded fonts. The team is actively working on that, Steven. That's been a huge
That's like, see what I mean, Steven? Like, they're
actively being worked on. We're working directly with the Typekit team, and we know, like, one of those things that, like, you know, when you get sent a file or you open up someone else's file in Dropbox and you're missing a font, that's a really terrible experience, really stops you from working. And we're working on a solution, and part of that solution just launched with Typekit just recently, where you can now sync like any Adobe font. Well, at first they rebranded Adobe font, and then you can now sync any of the whole library to your desktop on demand.
Whoa.
So again, that's sort of piece number one that had to be in place. And now piece number two, we have Cloud Documents in XD, right? And so you'll see in this next year, again, like now that we have those two pieces, again, and this is now, again, we talk about the challenge of coordinating on just our team. Now we're coordinating with not just our team, but the broader Adobe team.
The Creative Cloud
team. So you know, this has been a huge thing that we've been trying to tackle, and hopefully more to come very soon on that. So,
cool.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean,
a lot of 2019, a lot of new exciting stuff.
New gig.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what team, what it's gonna be working on, or are you keeping that kind of hush hush?
Well, I can give like a broad description of it. It's a medical company.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of the solution is like basically instead of you going to a doctor, everything is at your house within an app.
Oh, cool.
So they can like the service is delivering you something and then getting you tested for any stuff that you have to get tested, and it's just that's the product. So I'm super excited.
Exciting, man. Congrats.
My mom's like, when I was young, she's like, I always wanted you to become a doctor. I'm like, oh, well, I'm in the medical field for design. So that's the closest thing. So
yeah. Oh, God, that sounds exciting. It's an exciting field. Yeah.
So
Zaria, so the live project sharing feature. So I kind of touched on it a little bit. So you're going to be able to say, I could invite you to a document, and we could be then designing in the same document in XD in real time. It's gonna be amazing.
You know, it'd be cool if like a fun thing like, you know that thing where like you draw something and then you give it to someone and they draw something to finish it and it keeps going.
The exquisite corpse.
Oh yeah.
Or the Photoshop ping pong they used to call it. Actually, that's where Dribble. That's actually where Dribble got their name from. Oh, because it was that like back and forth, and iteration, and yeah.
What if you did that with the cloud and XD? Just have like 10 people. It's like a fun game, and like you just like.
I want to see that happen. I want to see that
so
happen.
Cool. And you get like 1 minute to like add something, and then
when we do, again, it's gonna be we're gonna release the features of the year. When we get there, you're gonna be the first person I invite, and we'll be.
You guys! Oh my God! I'm so excited. That would be so much fun.
Yeah. No, exciting.
So cool.
One other thing I wanted to, and you had mentioned this, and I wanted to make sure we actually talked about it because this is one of my favorite programs at Adobe. I don't know if you know what you know. Do you guys know about the Creative Residency, Adobe Creative Residence?
I know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, Kevin, you were actually interested in this. So, I don't know if you haven't seen this before. So every year we bring on a creative resident, actually many creative residents.
Yeah.
And they come on and they have these kind of year-long projects.
I met Andrea Huck.
Yep, Andrea, she's awesome. Aaron, all these amazing, talented people have been essentially kind of like working with Adobe to kind of tackle these big projects or challenges that they've sort of undertaken for themselves. And so they've all kind of applied and they've been sort of doing some amazing work over this past year. And you can go to their Behance profiles and check them out. You have photographers, you have UX designers, you have print makers, you have all these different creatives who have been Adobe's creative residents for the year, and they've just opened up the applications for 2019.
Starting 2019.
Yeah, so I think it's
January.
That's it. Yep. Oh wait, let's see.
And then I believe they're all like there's like an age limit, right? They're all under.
They're all young emerging creatives. Emerging creatives, right? So
cool.
they essentially get to work with us, and so they have access to to my team, to any of the cool things like our Resigraph printer here if they want to use it, to any of the resources that we have are at their disposal to then execute on these visions that they have.
Wow.
And then of course they're doing a lot of you're doing a lot of blogging about it, writing about their processes and then what they're sort of doing. Yes, you should definitely go if you're interested and check it out and apply. Amazing work. Actually, I got to do some really cool projects with some of our first creative residents that I still are in contact with today. And again, part of growing your career is just making those contacts and doing the work and inspiring others. And this is a huge sort of opportunity. So.
Well, actually, the 2017 UX UI Adobe Creative Resident, I forgot her name, but we were in graphic design portfolio class and we saw her portfolio, and she. Oh wait, let's see. Yes.
Chelsea or
Natalie.
Yeah.
So we were looking at Natalie Liu's portfolio, and then her first image was her putting up Post-it notes. Showing like the user design journey. She changed it now.
Yeah.
But then that's what inspired me. If you look at my portfolio, I'm like putting up Post-it notes because I'm like, that is such a good idea to show your process when you're designing something. So yeah, that was not my original. That was Natalie Liu's.
You guys go. I mean, these guys, Andre, Julia. These guys did some amazing work. Super inspiring. Someone mentioned, yes, this is our last stream for the year. As we mentioned earlier in the stream, we're going to be taking a little winter shutdown here at Adobe. But we got some really exciting stuff planned in the new year. Just to give you a little preview, we're going to be doing, myself and my guests, we're going to be reviewing more portfolios in the new year. We're going to be talking more, of course, about process and really giving you insight into kind of what a UX, UI designer or product designer does on a day-to-day basis. We're going to be having lots of exciting guests like Kevin on the Designing Adobe XD stream as well. So lots of exciting stuff coming in the new year. So
Can't believe 2018's almost over.
This is the fastest year of my life, really.
Me too. Yeah.
Just like blew by,
Just
man. Crazy. But in the meantime, I, of course, will always be on Twitter. Kevin, not yet on Twitter, but he might be. You should definitely reach out to him.
I'll make one. Yeah.
Go to his site. Check out his work. Wish you all the best luck in 2019 on the new gig.
Yay.
Super exciting.
Super excited too.
And wishing all of you a happy new year if I don't see you or hear from you in between here and then. So we'll be excited to bring some really exciting stuff to you with the Designing Adobe XD in the new year. And of course, more updates, more new features in XD to come. Lots of exciting stuff planned for 2019. I can't wait to share it all with you.
Yes, make sure to eat a lot of food.
Yes, yes.
Spend time with your friends and family, and have a great holiday, everybody.
The ISU rule, man. Thanks to Paco and Gus and everybody in the Adobe Live team.
Thank you so much.
This is an amazing program, and it's been such a great year. I think this is our 30th episode? 29th. Pretty exciting. So, we cut it. All right, good deal. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you later.
Bye.